finished competing WBFF. Alright guys, YouTube is back. I'm bringing it back, and what better way to start than to announce why I'm pulling the pin in the pig. And honestly, think about this for a while, and the reason is I'm finished competing WBFF. I'm officially going to make the announcement here. A few people close to us know that I've now decided I want to make the switch to IFBB. It's something that from the very get-go I always knew that I was going to end up in IFBB. It was just a matter of getting my body in a position to be competitive there, and that was always going to take time to build a solid physique. And during that time, I was able to get the most out of WBFF, learn about competing, pretty much being able to pick my body and still having that experience of competing against quality athletes overseas, and obviously get the pro card. And because of that, it's opened up so many opportunities for us. We've been so grateful for WBFF, but it's decided, when was it, it was COVID, so 2020, that I was like, I was happy with what I achieved in WBFF, won some big shows, pro shows overseas, and I wanted to make the switch. So it was just, from there, it was like, all right, where do I fit in IFBB? And then I was stuck between, I'm in the position not quite going to make the classic weight. It'd just be too much for me, so I have no option but to do super heavy. So I've had to, and for those who follow me would have seen how much effort I've been putting into growing in the last 2 years. That's why I've had so much time off from competing, as well as focusing on the business and supporting the others as well.
Beyond
that little one.
So when Matt finished at WBFF, they didn't want him to get any bigger, and as an athlete, I knew that he had more ambitions to grow and take that time off. So it was more of an opportunity to challenge yourself in a different area, and challenge yourself in a different way and grow into a different show. But yes.
Honestly, and that was like the feedback I was getting. They did not want me any bigger. And at that time, I was on stage, the last pro show I won both. It's 102 kilos, and I was when we weren't competing, like improvement season, I was like literally, the most food was probably like 3,800 calories, 4,000 calories, and this, for me, it's not much. In the gym, it took purpose away from my training. And obviously, there's areas that I could obviously still improve on, but there was just so much more I knew I could do for my physique in terms of growth and making changes, and that's the reason why I wanted to go to the IFBB. And not only that, we start, like it's a big decision, because we go over there, we're practically nobodies again to the bottom. We're not pros, we're amateurs, and we're starting there, and it's a little bit, it makes me a little bit nervous, but I'm so excited at the same time, because I get to see where my physique is truly at. I spent a little update for you guys, the last literally 2 years, weight sitting and holding around 117 kilos in reasonable condition, so I'm hoping to get on stage again, which I'll announce soon, the show I'm doing, at around 108 kilos. So if I can do that, that's like 6 kilos up from the last show I done, which is I'm pretty happy with in terms of making improvements at our level, because it does get harder. The longer you're competing, the more advanced it is, the harder it is to get them changes. Not only me though, yourself, what are you doing?
I am also going across to IFBB, so this is obviously a really big decision to make, and it's not to take away from WBFF at all, because it was a place where we really developed as athletes and found our footing within competing, and the exposure that competing with WBFF has given us is phenomenal. And Ari and Pauline run amazing shows within Australia, so there's no bad blood, especially coming off the back of coming second in Worlds, but it wasn't because of that decision. It was just because I probably only realistically have like 1 or 2 shows left in me, just personally being 31 now. So to end up in IFBB and to do my last 1 or 2 years of competing there is really what I wanted to do. So here we are.
Yeah, and you knew when I had made the decision, obviously when I reached out to Dean Killip, the coach, and he was just like, you're just wasting your talent in WBFF, and he was obviously a big driver behind it as well. Emily, before she decided to do the World Championships last year, come straight back off postpartum. She was like, just give me one more go, like, because the shows are amazing. And as the world, she chose the biggest show in the world to do for them. And then, yeah, but you're always.
But it also gives me the opportunity to grow. And like Matt, we weren't encouraged to get any bigger or leaner. So as athletes, we do really want to push ourselves, especially to build more size. And it's actually something that I haven't done in a structured way, an off season, for a very long time, because I've just kind of idled through because I don't necessarily need to get bigger or bigger each time. It was just more about bringing the right package for WBFF. So this time I'm actually able to get a lot bigger, especially in my lower body, which is what I love doing. So it's been a really big challenge, especially for both of us, to pretty much have to start at the bottom and meet a new criteria. But that's what competing is about, right? Like, it's about challenging yourself and growing and becoming better as an athlete. So we're really excited for this journey.
What division are you doing?
I'm doing wellness. I'm definitely not doing bikini. I'm a lot too big for that.
And I think it's going to fit her really well. We've been excited just watching like pro shows overseas in IBB and obviously Olympia for her, and like what the standard is family, and I honestly don't think she's far off that level. Working with Luke Miller, she comes straight out of, which is always a tough time, prep for Worlds, straight into a plan of attack with Luke, which he knew that was coming. So and then I think it's like, honestly, in 10 years of competing, the most structured and disciplined I've seen her. She's, I think, successfully completed her first, at this level, like push phase with Luke, having that in the off season. A lot of the time we've done all our own stuff in the off season.
Very flexible off seasons.
Flexible, and unfortunately at that level we can't afford to do that. But it's exciting, and I think now, like, yeah, and I will touch on that. Like Pauline and Ari in Australia, Australian WBFF, honestly the shows, and I could truly mean it, are magnificent. For anyone that's gone to an amateur show on the Gold Coast, it's sold out, the atmosphere is ridiculous, so we'll miss that, because walking out on that stage, and we have in the past when we won the Australian Championships together in 2019.
And even the international shows, just a community that, being with the Australian people, going over there and competing and traveling, it's so much fun. But this is also what we're looking forward to, is a different experience within IFBB and what that has to bring as well. And we do know a lot of people within this federation already,
yes, so we have a lot of friends there already.
It's very exciting.
So yeah, and they structure it differently. And as I said, it's very difficult to win your pro card in IFBB, and I do love that, because it just makes it, if you do win it, it makes it that much more memorable and a big thing, yeah. But with that, guys, so I am going to start the YouTube from right here this year, start in 2023. I'll give you another update in another YouTube when that comes up. But pretty much announce the show I'm doing will be Season B here in Australia, obviously for IFBB, here in Queensland. So I'll have to do the qualifier, and then if I'm from that point, I think it'll be a couple of weeks later, it'll be the national, it goes states then national. So that's for both of us. So we'll be back prepping together again, which is with little loons will be. Which
I think will be good, because last time I really struggled with that.
Yeah, it'll be good, but it'll be busy. So yeah, it's exciting. Can't wait. All right, guys. Today I am showing you what I do in terms of like recovery and maintenance on my body. We're here at World Gym Burleigh. I see Dan Marshall weekly. He's a good friend of mine. He's also worked on my body for like the last 2 or 3 years, helping me correct imbalances, issues with my knees. I've had patellar tendon issues on the knees, like giving me grief the last probably like 18 months, where he's done so much work on my quads, which he'll talk about today. He's going to break down the issues that he's seen with me and what we've tried to correct. I also see Anthony as well, who's another massage therapist. So I see between the two of them on like a weekly, fortnightly, both really good at what they do, especially in the bodybuilding scene and working with big guys. And they're both really good at different things. So I spend a bit of money on that. I think it's important as well. Like, you put so much tension through the body, there's only so much stretching, foam rolling you can do, and it's helped me progress so much with my body and niggles, getting on top of it, preventing injuries, being able to recover so I can push harder in the gym. And also chiro. Now, I wasn't a big fan of chiro. I see the chiro weekly as well, across the road from where we live. But that combination has helped so much with both myself and Emily. I'm not saying everyone needs to get work done weekly, but more often than not, people don't pay enough attention to that, and it's an investment to keep you going, keep you moving forward, like I said, preventing injury. But like at my level, there's other guys, like a lot of other guys, friends and stuff as well, all use therapists to keep them going, and there's a reason for that. I know sometimes they're pretty expensive, but if you're creating this much tension through the body and you're wanting to progress, you need to pay your taxes. That's what I tell my clients. Pay your taxes, because it keeps us moving forward and it keeps us out of trouble. Yeah, so he rents this room off the gym, and like gets a lot of clients off the floor as well, which is great, because then if he's doing rehabilitation or he's assessing my physique, which he does, and he breaks down like me doing different exercises, like that's the issue there. This is overworked, this is strong, this is weak on my body, and then we go out to the floor because we have access to the floor and the equipment, and then he can watch me perform an exercise and point it out to me like, this isn't firing, this is what we need to work on, which is great, especially for those that have injuries as well. Unfortunately, he's got the floor to go out there, and he even does rehabilitation programming as well. He's really good at that, so again, can have the clients out on the floor going through that with them as a session, or he's either that or he's got you on the bed. Fix the issue.
We could we'll assess your lower body, we'll see where it's at, and then we can explain kind of what we're going to do today. Nice shoes, by the way.
I know, do you like these?
Yeah, pretty cute. I think easiest way to start, pop your shirt off, leave your shorts on, and come up on the table, and we'll just go break down the body and see where it's at. How's training been feeling anyway?
It's good. I've like legs just settled down a little bit.
Yeah. Which is there?
This right one just still feels like locked up through
across the top of the patella.
A little bit through there, but like up through here where you used to have that fan.
Yeah, right. But tension through the side. Alright, lay it on the table, we'll have a feel around, see where else. Yeah, just pull the shorts up, let's have a feel. Oh. Like this right leg is still externally rotating a little bit. So this one's straight, obviously with a bit of hyperextension, but more external rotation on that side. So you're probably going to feel a lot of tension coming up through the side here. So the main thing would be with his imbalance is that because he's got like a little bit of a weakness in his left midsection, left glute, left hamstring. So in his bilateral movements, he'll shift more weight into the right side, which then will kind of externally rotate that leg a little bit more, and throw in like a bit of an ankle balance at the same time, which will a little bit of a limitation there, which then you'll externally rotate his leg under load too. But because of that, then you get a bit of load coming through this rect fem on that lateral tension, so you get less wear and tear on the patella joint. It's interesting, like I guess you've got, because of this leg having a bit more range around the hip, but then because of his size and again with bodybuilding and a lot of bilateral movements, because of the amount of load coming through the right leg and the development in this quad, it'll pull the patella tendon, or sorry, the patella itself laterally, and then the tendon starts to get quite inflamed. But we've got to keep an eye on all that through there. But because you're 122 kilos?
Yeah, and then I had like a lot of tendon issue through the top there, because there was literally so much tension through there.
Yeah, so I've basically got to keep an eye on all this through here, so it settles down this patella and tracks a bit better under load, because otherwise as he bends the knee under load, the patella itself is actually going to track laterally and it won't glide properly through the groove. So
it's sore on the actual patella tendon. You know that calcium?
The apex, right?
Not there, no.
Down the tibial tuberosity, like right there. Yeah. Have you been loading this up?
It's helped. It's definitely
the bridges?
Helped. Yeah,
cool.
bridges, that's what I do.
Yeah, so he's got a bit of a weakness in his left glute, left hamstring in comparison to the right hand side, which then loads up the patella tendon a little bit on this side too. So, and a bit of a weakness in the tib post also here, so his perineals always get pretty tight. But ankle range.
He's just broken my body down over time, analysing how I move and just feeling where the tension is, like literally from the point where I had like, a bit of plantar fasciitis because that like
on the big guy through here. Yeah, so I guess because I've worked with Matty for over 3 years now, I kind of get a feel for what his body's doing day to day, or sorry, week to week. And it's easy to break it down, but we've just got to catch kinks before they actually arise as best we can anyway. But you can actually even see, like if you look at this knee, the patella is actually, the apex is probably a little bit straight. This one's actually definitely got a bit more external rotation. This leg here actually wants to track in, the foot's a little bit straighter, where on this side, the leg actually wants to externally rotate a little bit more. So under load, that'll actually drag the patella laterally because the tension coming through here, and then it won't glide very well through the joint through here, so we're going to keep an eye on that. It's off from all joint. Right, let's get those shorts off, man. We'll get you sideway and we'll rip to that right leg.
Dan, would you say this is a common pattern you see with a lot of bodybuilders? Like,
In people in general?
For a lot of clients that come in,
Yeah, so this pattern's pretty common, but I guess depending on the sport, the style of training, the recovery, how often they're training, gender and things like that, I guess it depends on how advanced it'll be. For bodybuilders, definitely, because again, you're doing a lot of more bilateral movements rather than unilateral. With you over time, we've got you doing a lot more ab work, but a lot of people won't train their abs, and then it creates a lot of dysfunction in the lower extremity too, big time. These patterns, they get exacerbated pretty quick.
It's slack on the old abdominals, most people skip out of them, lat core. Because of the industry and how it looks, or because of sport, it's so like quad dominant or quad focused, and neglect posterior chain. And
well, life itself is pretty quad dominant. It's one thing I learned through Kingy. And then we jump in the gym, and guys are the worst because we want to train everything we can see, right? And I did the same. That's why I got to this industry, so I learned how to fix myself. But life is quad dominant. Sport's typically pretty quad dominant, and then we go and do quad dominant training. And you ask anyone how they train their legs, and they'll run hack squats, lunges, Bulgarian, static lunges, leg extensions, so forth. But then you ask them how they train their hamstrings, and like,
what exercise do you?
Hamstring curls, maybe some RDLs if you like. So there's minimal balance.
You go out in the gym floor, and it's funny, you look around and a lot of guys are just trying to, an ego thing is just, how many plates can I do in the hack squat? How many plates can I do in the leg press? And like the answer, no one's doing any hinge movements. And if they are doing hamstrings, it's like a couple sets of lying hamstring curls. Oh, I've done hamstrings.
Not enough to offset the imbalance that life has created, or prior training imbalances are created, that's for sure. I think the worst I've ever seen is if these guys would have been doing 300 kilos on a leg press, give or take, and then they jumped in the squat rack and did 40 kilo Romanian deadlifts. That'll create imbalance. So as we continue on working on the quad here, as the quad starts to soften up, I'm getting a bit deeper and changing the angle and moving the leg a little bit, so it's a little bit of an ART technique at the same time. But I'm sort of getting on the right angle to hit the posterior fibers of the vastus lateralis. You come down into the knee. And on someone that's quite small or smaller than Matty by 40-50 kilos, generally you notice a pretty quick change in the position of the foot. They'll come in, their foot will be externally rotated. You treat the leg like this, but not as aggressively, and their foot straightens up very fast. You can start walking and like at 3 years of age, trip over and hurt yourself, and you'll probably develop an imbalance just from that impact. And then you'll exacerbate that over time, then you'll jump into sport and you'll play a sport where it requires you to step off one leg, and you'll only step off one leg, and then that creates an imbalance, and you'll get some more injuries when you're in your teens and so forth. And then that alone will create an imbalance, and then we jump in the gym, and we weren't born with books, like we weren't born knowing program design, so we've got to start somewhere. But then you jump in the gym, and I guess you can form to what everyone else is doing. Lots of chest, lots of quads and so forth, and we've all been there, we've done it, and we know the outcome is pretty negative. So that's where I guess you got to really start to learn to listen to the body and make those changes. But everyone has to start somewhere. If you're struggling for advice, you just got to seek the right help. So you try and train the right way to begin with.
Well, Aaron asked a good question just out there before. It's like, what did you ask about the pecs, the chest?
Is it like true when they say like for every chest exercise you do 2 back exercises, because if you train too much chest it pulls your shoulders?
Good way of looking at it, 100%. Because your rows will retract the shoulders, where your chest will protract the shoulders. But then you're working on a computer all the time, your head's going to be forward, your shoulders will be rounded, you sleep on your shoulders. Gravity is consistently pushing you into the ground, right? So that's why you see a lot of people on their phones and their heads are forward, and because of postural adaptations, the body will adapt to that. So you end up with forward head posture around the shoulders just because of life. So yeah, absolutely correct. And that's why deadlifts are very good also, because it helps retract and depress the shoulders. So I had a client, I think it might have been today, I suggested a 3-to-1 ratio.
Maybe start of last year, I couldn't even train any like quad dominant exercises or like knee flexion because of the pain I had in my knees, and we fixing up programming, and literally doing this, like getting stuck into back-to-back sessions to try and get that tension down, and it affected my like life as well. Like bending down, picking up Luna, just sort of, they were just that inflamed and irritated. So that's why I go back on saying before, at my level with the weight I am, the load that I lift, I need to be seen doing regular treatment like this with Dan.
You've got to, I guess, calculate the amount of time you're spending in the gym that's developing tension and reducing your length, your connective tissue. And then, I guess, outside the gym, you need to work out how much time your body requires to reduce the tension, to offset that tension and improve the length. So you've got a bit of balance in your training, because if you're just training and it shortens the connective tissue and you lose your range, you can't have strength without flexibility. You're in trouble. So it's just working out I guess, the right recovery methods to maintain the body so you can keep training and be pain-free, injury-free. And the bigger you get, the more you got to work on it. Yeah. No one's ever walked into my room with a really big developed upper back and their shoulders too retracted. Let's put it that way. It's never happened. Because again, like we become injured from training in the gym, so I teach people how to reverse their imbalances in the gym. So rather than stopping because you're injured, you've got to get in the gym and reverse what you've actually done in the gym to improve the body. And that requires not just strength training, but again, like stretching, rolling and things like that, having a quite integrated approach. So they get treatment and programming at the same time. Yeah. So a strong midsection helps extend your trunk and retract the shoulders. But also, like, for instance, in Matty's instance, he's got a bit of a weakness on the left oblique. And when you've got that weakness in the left oblique, it'll allow the pelvis to sit further forward and the knee will drop in. But then when that sits further forward, you'll shift more weight into your opposite leg, and then you'll get more external rotation. So your midsection literally is the foundation for upper.
Like, do a demonstration, like this is what was happening when I'd like squat.
Squatting movements would be like, that'd sit forward, because a lot of people, when they get a weakness in the midsection, they'll get a rib flare. So the rib will stick out and the hip will sit further forward, the hip flexor tightens, and because of the high tone in the hip flexor group, where in the quad group also, you actually lose proprioception in your abs. So that'll sit forward, the knee will want to drop, and then the arch will drop also, so you'll lose the strength in your tibialis posterior. And then with that, you'll shift more weight into the right hip. And then the leg will externally rotates, and your glute and your hamstring become quite dominant on the opposite side, and the quad will tighten up.
That's exactly what happened with me. And we could even see in some videos of me like squatting right down the bottom when I'd start to fatigue, I was shift and dumping into that quad and that, especially lateral head and the glute.
The weakness in the external oblique, shortening the internal oblique, and then again all that load shifting in, and then obviously that's the reason why we've had a few knee issues on that right hand side, but over time we've actually improved that balance, so there's less aggravations. But again, like with the volume leading to comps and so forth, you've got to jump in there a bit. It's like knowing where to start when it comes to working with patterns. Like, a breathing pattern disorder can weaken your lower abdominals, your TVA, which can lead to lower back pain, which is nuts. So foot pronation can affect the jaw. So you kind of need to sort of look at primary patterns, break them down, and see what's left over, I guess. It's a lot of trial and error, and the more I learn about the body, the more I realise I don't know. It's pretty cool. There's so much to learn about it, and it's impressive. That's a bit tight. Yeah. That should be that glute hamstring should be quite good.
Hamstrings keep you.
Right, drop down. So, how's that feel there?
It's from the massage, it was better than when we first grabbed it. Yeah, everyone here in the gym knows that obviously Dan's available, but like I said, he's doing a lot of online stuff now as well, being able to, because being in here, it's back-to-back clients every day, you can manage 8 or 9 people.
I do 8 a day, but I've been here for 8 years, 8.5 years, and some people don't even know I'm here.
Well, Aaron, I was just like, so what do you mean he works in the gym? Like, he's got his own set up in the gym.
Yeah, the door's always closed, mate, so literally people come in and they don't even know I'm actually here, and they're training the whole time, so I meet so many new people.
You need a big sign out there.
Yeah, well, I used to, I just took it down. It's busy. Yeah, it's word of mouth is the best marketing.
Actually.
100%. So yeah, you find the Instagram handle, we'll put it on the YouTube anyway down below. And it's obviously injury rehabilitation, programming, and you've seen today how he's just correcting some of my issues that we've been working on for a while.
Get jacked arms from treadmill.
And then, that's not that body, so working on me all the time. All right, cheers brother, appreciate it, man. Thank you. All right. That is a wrap for today. The cat is out of the bag. Feels damn good to get it out there. I think, like I said earlier, most people have known this is coming, but both Emily and I are so damn excited for this year to make the switch. For me, just to get back on stage, I cannot wait. I hope you enjoyed today, not only the announcement, but the recovery side of things. I want to show people what I do, the issues I've had with my body, how I stay on track, how I keep progressing, and most importantly, stay injury free. That is the big one. But look, I want to get more YouTubes up this year. I really want to put some education out there. I don't just want to show training side and the food side. Like, yeah, people want to see that, but also provide some value. So if there's anything you want to see, throw down some questions, okay? Do not be afraid to put it in there. Give me some ideas. Most importantly, like and subscribe. I need subscribers. I need to make it worthwhile doing this. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your girlfriend, anyone, the next door neighbor. Let's do it. Yeah, let's get excited. I'll be showing the off season. So literally just put PEDs and food back in. We're pushing up, we're pushing weight back up, getting food up. Then we'll get to about April, end of April. Then we'll do a bit of a holding phase. Then it'll be game on, starting prep come May. It'll be a bit of a shorter prep. I can get ready pretty quick. It'll be interesting to see how the body responds. It's been a while since I've done it. Again, it'll be exciting. We had to document all of that and you can see that for yourselves. So thanks for today. Tune in. And again, subscribe, get it out there.